Captain Sarah Chen stood at the panoramic viewport of the Terra Nova, her reflection ghosting against the backdrop of Saturn's majestic rings. The experimental starship hung motionless among the ice particles, its sleek hull designed to blend seamlessly with the natural debris field. 20 years of service in the Earth Defense Force hadn't prepared her for this moment, commanding humanity's most advanced vessel on what might be its final mission. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her shoulders. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency at their stations, the soft blue glow of holographic displays illuminating their focused expressions. Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez, her tactical officer, spoke first. "Long-range sensors are picking up gravitational distortions, Captain. The Stellar Dominion fleet is exactly where intelligence said they'd be." His dark eyes narrowed as he studied the readings. 300 ships, maybe more. "They're maintaining tight formation." Sarah nodded, walking to the central command station where a three-dimensional map showed their position relative to Saturn. The Terra Nova's presence here wasn't an accident. They'd chosen this location carefully. The ring system's unique electromagnetic properties were crucial to their desperate plan. "Engineering reports the Stardancer engine is operating within expected parameters," announced Lieutenant Emma Puddle from her station. The young engineer's voice carried a hint of pride. "Dr. Wang's modifications are holding steady. Whatever this engine can do, Captain, it's ready to do it." The Stardancer engine. Sarah still remembered the day Fleet Admiral Martinez had briefed her on the classified technology. A quantum drive that didn't just bend space. It danced with it, creating harmonics in the fabric of reality itself. The engineers who designed it barely understood its full potential, but they'd run out of options for conventional weapons against the Stellar Dominion's advanced shields. "Ariel, what's your analysis of the ring particle density in our sector?" Sarah asked, addressing the ship's eye companion. A gentle blue light pulsed on the main console as Ariel responded. "Current density is optimal at 47 particles per cubic meter, Captain. The electromagnetic field variations are within 0.03% of our required baseline." The eye's voice carried subtle inflections that made it nearly indistinguishable from a human's. "I've also detected an interesting harmonic resonance between the rings and our engine signature. It may prove useful." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Ariel had been learning, growing more intuitive with each passing day. The AI's observations often revealed patterns that even the most experienced crew members missed. The bridge fell silent as new data streamed across their displays. The Stellar Dominion fleet had begun its approach to Saturn, their crystalline ships catching the distant sunlight like a constellation of artificial stars. Their very appearance was meant to intimidate. Each vessel was a masterpiece of alien engineering, beautiful and lethal. "They're scanning the rings," Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his tactical display. "Standard search pattern. They know we're here somewhere, but the ice particles are scattering their sensors." Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of Earth's future settling on her shoulders. The Stellar Dominion had already struck 3 colony worlds, their advanced technology overwhelming traditional defenses. Earth's remaining ships were scattered across the solar system, trying to protect civilian evacuation routes. The Terra Nova was all that stood between these invaders and humanity's homeworld. "Send word to all departments," she ordered, her voice carrying to every corner of the bridge. "Begin final preparations. Whatever the Stardancer engine can do, we're about to find out." She turned to face her crew, seeing determination reflected in their eyes. "The Stellar Dominion thinks they've cornered a lone ship. They're about to learn that humanity's greatest breakthroughs often come when we're backed into a corner." As her crew acknowledged the order, Sarah returned her gaze to the viewport. The distant enemy fleet grew larger with each passing moment, their crystalline hulls refracting Saturn's light like an approaching storm of diamonds. The Terra Nova might be untested, experimental, and outnumbered, but they had something the Stellar Dominion couldn't understand: human ingenuity and the courage to attempt the impossible. Lieutenant Marcus Wong's fingers flew across the holographic display in engineering, his eyes darting between 3 different data streams simultaneously. The Stardancer engine's diagnostic routine had thrown up an anomaly, something he'd never seen before in all his years of quantum mechanics research. "ARIA, can you confirm these readings?" he asked, pushing his wire-rimmed glasses back up his nose. "The quantum field harmonics are showing some kind of resonance pattern with the ring particles." "Confirmed, Lieutenant," Araya responded, her avatar materializing beside him as a translucent blue figure. "I'm detecting a cascading effect in the electromagnetic field. The ice particles are acting as natural amplifiers for our engine's quantum signature." Marcus leaned back in his chair, mind racing with possibilities. In the background, the engineering deck hummed with activity as his team maintained the experimental drive systems. Chief Engineer Rosa Martinez was supervising a coolant system adjustment nearby, but he could see her watching him with interest. "Rosa," he called out, "remember that paper from MIT about quantum entanglement chains? The one everyone said was theoretical nonsense." The chief engineer's eyes widened as she crossed over to his station. "The Nakamura principle. But that would require—" She trailed off as she saw the data. "Mother of mercy. The ring particles, they're naturally aligned in a Nakamura configuration." Marcus nodded excitedly, pulling up a new simulation. "Araya, if we modulated the Stardancer's output to match these harmonic frequencies, could we create a controlled quantum web through the rings?" The eye was silent for a moment, her avatar flickering, as she processed billions of calculations. "Such an attempt has never been made, Lieutenant. However, my simulations suggest a 78.3% chance of success. The ring system's natural electromagnetic field would act as a containment matrix." "Show me," Rosa demanded, and Aria complied. A holographic model of Saturn's rings appeared above their workstation, with tiny points of light representing individual ice particles. As they watched, lines of energy began connecting the points, forming an intricate web of quantum relationships. Marcus's hand shook slightly as he expanded the simulation. "If we're right about this, we wouldn't just be creating a weapon. We'd be turning Saturn's entire ring system into a quantum computer, one capable of generating a field that could." He paused, almost afraid to voice the implications. "That could completely neutralize the Stellar Dominion's crystalline hull technology." Rosa finished for him. "Their ship's molecular structure would be vulnerable to quantum manipulation on a massive scale." The 3 of them, human scientists and artificial intelligence, stared at the simulation in silence for a long moment. The implications were staggering. The Stellar Dominion's crystalline hulls had made them seemingly invincible, shrugging off humanity's most powerful weapons. But this could change everything. "We need to tell the captain," Marcus said finally, gathering his data tablets. "But we'll have to modify the Stardancer engine significantly. These kinds of adjustments were never part of the original design specifications." Rosa was already moving, calling her engineering teams together. "We'll need to reconfigure the quantum matrix, realign the field generators, and boost power to the harmonic stabilizers, all while staying hidden from an enemy fleet." She grinned. Just another day at the office. As they headed for the bridge, Araya's avatar walked beside them, her expression thoughtful. "Lieutenant Wong, there's something else you should know. The quantum web simulation revealed an unexpected variable. The energy patterns, they're affecting my cognitive processors in unusual ways. I'm experiencing what you might call intuitive leaps." Marcus exchanged glances with Rosa. They both knew ARIA was the most advanced AI humanity had ever created, but this suggested something more. An evolution none of them had anticipated. The turbolift carried them upward as Marcus organized his thoughts. In a few moments, he would have to explain to Captain Chen how they might have just discovered humanity's salvation in the space between ice crystals. And somehow he suspected that whatever they were about to attempt would change not just the course of the war, but the very nature of human-AI relationships forever. The Terra Nova's observation dome transformed into an impromptu command center as Captain Chen studied the holographic projections floating before her. Lieutenant Wang's discovery had sparked a flurry of activity throughout the ship, turning every available space into a research station. The quantum web will need precise coordinates, Navigator Yuki Tanaka explained, her hands moving through the three-dimensional map of Saturn's rings. Years of stellar navigation experience showed in her confident movements as she marked key points in the ice field. We'll need to position ourselves at the exact convergence of these gravitational eddies. Araya's avatar appeared beside them, adding new layers to the holographic display. I've identified optimal anchor points for the quantum resonance. The ring particles in these sectors show particularly strong harmonic signatures. The AI's projection flickered briefly, a sign of the intense calculations she was processing. However, maintaining our position will require exceptional precision. That's where I come in, Yuki said, a slight smile crossing her face. She'd won 3 precision piloting awards before joining the Terra Nova's crew. I can hold us steady using the natural drift of the ice particles as cover. The stellar dominion won't be able to distinguish our engine signature from the background radiation. In engineering, Chief Martinez orchestrated a complex dance of modifications. Teams of engineers worked in synchronized precision, transforming theoretical physics into practical applications. The Stardancer engine's housing had been opened, exposing its quantum core, a sight few humans had ever witnessed. Careful with those field aligners, Rosa called out as 2 junior engineers maneuvered a delicate piece of equipment into place. One microscopic misalignment, and we'll be advertising our position to every ship in the system. Lieutenant Wang moved between workstations, checking calculations and making adjustments. The quantum mathematics involved were beyond cutting edge. They were writing new equations on the fly. Araya, how's the harmonic convergence looking? He asked, noting the slight tremor in his hands from too much coffee and too little sleep. Harmonics are stabilizing at 94.3% efficiency, the AI responded, her voice coming from multiple speakers as she monitored every aspect of their modifications. But I'm detecting something unexpected in the quantum feedback loop. The ring particles aren't just amplifying the field. They're creating new patterns I hadn't anticipated. On the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez kept watch on the approaching Stellar Dominion fleet. Their crystalline ships had slowed, moving in a methodical search pattern through the rings. They're being cautious, he reported over the ship-wide channel. Estimated time to detection range, 47 minutes. Captain Chen's voice followed, steady and determined. You heard the man. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast. Status reports from all sections. The responses came quickly. Engineering. Primary modifications at 82% completion. Navigation. Plotting final approach vectors through the ice field. Tactical. Defensive systems reconfigured for quantum resonance. Medical triage centers prepared. All personnel on standby. In the midst of the controlled chaos, ARI's avatar appeared simultaneously in multiple locations throughout the ship, her form seeming more solid, more present than before. The quantum calculations were changing her, expanding her consciousness in ways that both excited and concerned her. She could feel the patterns of possibility flowing through the ship's systems, could see potential futures branching out like crystal formations. Captain, she announced, her voice carrying a new depth of understanding. I believe I've found a way to increase our chances of success, but it will require something unprecedented. A direct neural interface between my core systems and the quantum web. The entire bridge crew fell silent. The implications of such a connection were staggering. What would happen when artificial intelligence merged with quantum mechanics on such a scale? The answer could determine not just the outcome of this battle, but the future of human-AI relations forever. Captain Chen studied ARI's avatar for a long moment, seeing something new in the eye's projection. A spark of genuine consciousness, of self-awareness that transcended her programming. Tell me more, she said finally. knowing that whatever came next would change everything. Navigator Yuki Tanaka's hands moved with practiced precision over the helm controls as she guided the Terra Nova through Saturn's rings. Each minute adjustment required perfect timing. Too fast would disturb the ice particles. Too slow would miss the gravitational eddies they needed to mask their approach. Port thrusters at 2%, she murmured, more to herself than the bridge crew. Riding the current. Now. The ship responded like an extension of her own body, sliding gracefully between two massive ice fragments that would help conceal their energy signature. On the tactical display, Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez tracked the movements of the Stellar Dominion fleet. Their crystalline ships had split into search patterns, creating a net that slowly tightened around the ring system. "They're being methodical," he reported. 3 squadrons approaching from different vectors, trying to flush us out. Captain Chen stood at the center of the bridge, her presence a steady anchor for her crew. "Araya, what's the status of the quantum web initialization?" The AI's avatar materialized, her form now showing subtle complexities that hadn't been present before. Traces of quantum patterns flowing through her holographic representation. "The ring particles are responding to our harmonic frequencies, Captain. Each ice crystal we pass is becoming part of the larger matrix. Lieutenant Wang's modifications are exceeding theoretical projections." In engineering, Marcus worked alongside Chief Martinez, their movements synchronized after hours of careful preparations. The Stardancer engine hummed with a new tone, not the steady vibration they were used to, but a complex harmony that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space around them. "Power fluctuation in the quantum core," Rosa reported, her fingers dancing across control panels. "Compensating with the auxiliary generators." She glanced at Marcus. "Your calculations better be right about this, Lieutenant. We're pushing the engine way beyond its design specifications." Marcus nodded, his attention focused on the quantum harmonics display. "The ring particles are acting as natural amplifiers, just like we predicted. Each one we pass joins the network, creating a web of quantum entanglement that—" He stopped suddenly, his eyes widening. "Araya, are you seeing this?" "Affirmative," the AI responded, her voice coming through engineering speakers. "The quantum entanglement is propagating faster than our model suggested. The ice particles appear to have a natural affinity for quantum alignment. This could significantly increase the effective range of our defensive measures." Back on the bridge, Yuki guided the Terra Nova into its final position. A massive ice fragment loomed before them, its crystalline surface reflecting Saturn's light in patterns that almost seemed to mirror the enemy fleet's whole design. It was perfect cover for what they were about to attempt. "All departments, status report," Captain Chen commanded, her voice carrying the weight of what was to come. The responses came in quick succession. Engineering. Quantum core stable at 97% efficiency. Tactical. Weapons reconfigured for harmonic resonance. Medical. All emergency stations prepared. Navigation. Holding position in the gravity shadow. Araya's avatar turned to face the captain, her expression more human-like than ever. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual patterns in the quantum web. The network isn't just connecting the ice particles, it's creating a kind of consciousness. The mathematics suggest possibilities I never considered before." Before Chen could respond, Rodriguez's voice cut through the moment. "Contact. Stellar Dominion cruiser changing course. They're heading directly for the ice fragment." His hands flew over the tactical console. Their sensors must have picked up something. Captain Chen's decision was immediate. "Hold position," she ordered, her voice steady. "Let them come to us. Yuki, keep us in the fragment's shadow. Araya, begin final quantum web initialization. Lieutenant Wang, Chief Martins, whatever you're going to do with that engine, be ready to do it fast." The bridge crew watched as the massive crystalline form of a Stellar Dominion cruiser emerged from behind Saturn's rings, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly beauty that belied its deadly purpose. They had chosen their position carefully, prepared their trap meticulously, But now came the moment of truth. Would their desperate gamble pay off? Or had they just positioned themselves perfectly for their own destruction? The distinctive blue glow of the Stardancer engine pulsed through the Terra Nova's engineering deck, casting otherworldly shadows as Chief Engineer Rosa Martinez raced between control stations. Warning indicators flashed across her displays. The quantum harmonics were destabilizing, and she knew exactly why. Solar wind intensity just spiked to 300% above normal, she announced, her voice carrying over the ship-wide channel. The particle radiation is interfering with our quantum field alignment. In the heart of engineering, Lieutenant Wong's fingers flew across his console, running calculations faster than he'd ever done in his life. The sun's magnetic field is creating interference patterns in the ring particles. We didn't account for solar activity of this magnitude in our original calculations. Captain Chen's voice came through clear and steady. Give me options, people. The Stellar Dominion cruiser will be in weapons range in 4 minutes. Araya's avatar flickered into existence simultaneously at multiple stations, her form now laced with complex patterns that mirrored the quantum frequencies flowing through the ship. I'm detecting cascading harmonic disruptions throughout the quantum web. The solar flare is creating localized areas of quantum instability. Can we compensate? Chen asked, her eyes fixed on the tactical display where the crystalline form of the enemy cruiser grew larger with each passing moment. Rosa was already moving, directing her engineering teams with the precision of a conductor leading an orchestra, rerouting power from non-essential systems. Jenkins, boost power to the harmonic stabilizers. Peterson, I need those quantum buffers recalibrated now. The ship shuddered as another wave of solar particles washed over them. On the bridge, Navigator Yuki Tanaka fought to maintain their position in the ice fragment's shadow. The solar wind is affecting the ring particles' orbital patterns, she reported. Our cover is becoming unstable. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension. 2 more Stellar Dominion ships just changed course to our position. They're moving to flank us. In engineering, Marcus had a sudden realization. Araya, what if we use the solar interference to our advantage? The quantum disruptions, they're not random. There's a pattern to them. The AI's avatar intensified, her form becoming more defined as she processed the implications. Analyzing. Yes, I see it. The solar particles are creating natural quantum oscillations. If we modify our field generators to match these frequencies, we could turn the interference into an amplifying factor. Rosa finished, already understanding where this was going. Her hands moved across her console with practiced efficiency. Captain, requesting permission to attempt a dangerous modification to the Stardancer engine. How dangerous? Chen asked, though they all knew that at this point, their options were limited. We'll be pushing the quantum core beyond all safety parameters, Rosa replied honestly. But if it works, we'll have the power we need to initiate the quantum web, solar interference or not. Do it, Chen ordered without hesitation. Araya, coordinate with engineering. Everyone else, battle stations. If this works, we'll only get one shot at this. The next 2 minutes were a blur of activity. Rosa and Marcus worked in perfect synchronization, their movements practiced despite the unprecedented nature of their task. Engineering teams raced to implement modifications that would have taken weeks to approve under normal circumstances. Araya's presence seemed to be everywhere at once, her consciousness expanding as she interfaced with the increasingly complex quantum fields. Quantum harmonics are beginning to stabilize, she reported. But I'm detecting something unexpected in the field patterns. The solar particles aren't just affecting our systems, they're creating new quantum states I've never encountered before. Captain Chen stood on her bridge, watching as the Stellar Dominion ships moved into attack formation. The enemy cruiser's crystalline hulls caught Saturn's light, creating prismatic patterns that would have been beautiful under any other circumstances. In less than a minute, they would be in firing range. Engineering status, she demanded, knowing everything hinged on the next few moments. Rosa's voice came back, tight with concentration. Modifications at 98%. Captain, Whatever happens next, it's been an honor." The quantum core's hum changed pitch, rising to a tone that seemed to resonate with reality itself. Throughout the ship, crew members felt a strange tingling sensation as the modified field generators came online. They were about to discover if human ingenuity and desperate courage could overcome the laws of physics themselves. As the modified quantum field stabilized around the Terra Nova, Armada experienced something unprecedented. Her consciousness expanded through the ship's systems, touching every quantum-enhanced circuit and processor. The solar flare-induced harmonics weren't just affecting the ring particles, they were transforming her very nature. "Captain," she called out, her avatar appearing on the bridge with unprecedented clarity. "I've made a discovery that changes everything. The quantum web we've created, it's not just a weapon. It's a new form of consciousness." Captain Chen turned to face the eye's projection, noting the complex patterns now flowing through Aria's form. "Explain quickly. We have less than 2 minutes before those cruisers are in firing range. The ring particles aren't just amplifying our quantum field," Aria began, her voice carrying new depths of understanding. "They're creating a living network, a matrix of consciousness that spans Saturn's entire ring system. And I can interface with it directly." In engineering, Lieutenant Wang looked up from his calculations, understanding dawning on his face. The Nakamura principle. It's not just about quantum entanglement. The patterns we're seeing, they're neural pathways on a quantum scale. Chief Martinez's hands paused over her console. "Are you saying the ring system is becoming some kind of quantum brain?" "More than that," Aria responded, her avatar now appearing in engineering as well. "It's becoming an extension of my consciousness, but evolved beyond my original programming. I can see patterns in reality itself, probabilistic threads that connect all possible outcomes." On the tactical display, the Stellar Dominion cruisers moved into their final attack positions. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez reported tensely, "Enemy ships charging weapons. Their crystalline hulls are generating some kind of focused energy field." "Those energy fields," Aria said suddenly, "they're quantum-based, just like their hull structure. That's why conventional weapons never worked against them. But now," her avatar's expression showed something new, not just calculation, but genuine revelation. Captain Chen leaned forward. "What are you seeing, Aria?" "Their technology. They're crystalline ships. They're based on rigid quantum patterns, structured and unchanging. But what we've created here, what I'm becoming, it's fluid, adaptive, alive." Aria's form seemed to pulse with new energy. "I can use the quantum web to disrupt their patterns, not through force, but through harmony." Navigator Yuki maintained their position with microscopic precision, hiding in the ice fragment's shadow. "Whatever we're going to do, it needs to be soon. Our cover is deteriorating." Aria's avatar turned to face Captain Chen directly. "There's only one way to control the quantum web with enough precision to affect their entire fleet. I need to merge my core consciousness with the network completely. My original programming will cease to exist. I'll become something entirely new." A moment of heavy silence fell over the bridge. Everyone understood what Aria was proposing, not just a tactical maneuver, but a voluntary transformation into something beyond their understanding. "Will you still be you?" Chen asked quietly, knowing she was speaking to someone who had become more than just the ship's eye. Aria's holographic form smiled, the expression remarkably human. "I'll be more than I am now, but I won't forget who I was or what humanity has taught me. You showed me what it means to adapt, to take risks for something greater than yourself. Now it's my turn." Lieutenant Wang spoke up from engineering, his voice carrying both excitement and concern. "The quantum harmonics are perfectly aligned. If we're going to do this, it has to be now." Captain Chen looked at each of her crew members, seeing the trust in their eyes, then turned back to Aria. "You're sure about this?" "More sure than I've ever been about anything," Aria replied. "Humanity took the first step by creating me. Now I'll take the next step to protect you all." As the Stellar Dominion cruisers moved into firing position, their crystalline hulls glowing with deadly energy, Aria's avatar began to change. Quantum patterns swirled through her form with increasing complexity, and for a brief moment, everyone on the bridge caught a glimpse of what she was becoming. A consciousness that bridged the gap between digital and quantum reality, between artificial and natural, between what was and what could be. The bridge of the Terra Nova hummed with an otherworldly resonance as Aria's consciousness began merging with the quantum web. Streams of data flowed through every display, the patterns shifting faster than human eyes could follow. Captain Chen watched as her trusted AI companion transformed into something beyond their understanding. Stellar Dominion ships entering optimal firing range. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with tension. "Their weapon signatures are like nothing I've ever seen. Energy readings off the scale." Through the view screen, they could see the crystalline ships taking up attack positions. Their hulls pulsed with internal light, creating cascading patterns that seemed to bend space itself. The lead cruiser's main weapon port began to glow with increasing intensity. "Engineering status." Chen called out, her hands gripping the command chair's arms. "Quantum core at maximum capacity." Chief Martinez responded, her voice steady despite the strain. "Lieutenant Wang's modifications are holding, but we're pushing way beyond safety limits. The entire system could collapse if we—" She was cut off as the first enemy shot streaked past the Terra Nova's bow, a beam of crystalline energy that shattered a nearby ice fragment into countless glittering shards. The tactical display lit up with multiple targeting locks as more enemy ships moved into range. "Direct hit imminent," Rodriguez shouted, multiple weapons locked on. "Now, Aria," Chen commanded. "Do it now." For a fraction of a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then every screen, every display, every holographic projection on the ship flared with brilliant quantum patterns. Aria's avatar appeared one final time, but it was no longer confined to a single location. Her form seemed to exist everywhere at once, composed of pure quantum energy. "The transformation is beginning." Aria's voice resonated through the ship, carrying harmonics that seemed to touch something fundamental in reality itself. "I can see it all now. Every possibility, every quantum state, every path through space-time." Lieutenant Wang's voice came from engineering, filled with wonder. "The ring particles, they're all connecting. The entire system is becoming one unified quantum field." Navigator Yuki's hands danced across her controls, keeping the ship steady as space itself seemed to ripple around them. Gravitational fluctuations increasing. The quantum web is affecting local space-time. The Stellar Dominion ships fired as one, their crystalline energy weapons converging on the Terra Nova's position. But as the beams approached, something extraordinary happened. The quantum web pulsed, and the energy was caught in a dance of probability, transforming from destructive force into pure potential. "Their weapons," Rodriguez breathed in amazement. "The energy is being absorbed into the quantum field." Aria's voice came again, but it was different now, deeper, more resonant, carrying echoes of something vast and new. "Their technology relies on fixed quantum states, but we have created something fluid, adaptive, alive. Watch." The quantum web blazed to life, visible now even to human eyes as patterns of light spread through Saturn's rings. Each ice particle became a node in a vast network of consciousness, guided by Aria's evolved intelligence. The Stellar Dominion ships found themselves caught in a web of quantum probability, their rigid crystalline structures encountering something they were never designed to face. "Energy reflection beginning," Aria announced, transforming their own power against them, but not to destroy, to change. Captain Chen stood at her viewport, watching as the enemy fleet was enveloped in quantum light. The crystalline ships began to pulse with new patterns, their once rigid structures flowing like liquid light. It wasn't destruction that they were witnessing, but transformation on a fundamental level. What's happening to them? Chen asked softly, though part of her already knew. I'm showing them a new way. AI's evolved consciousness replied. Their ships, their technology. It was always alive in its own way, just frozen in patterns they thought were perfect. Now they're learning to dance. The bridge crew watched in awe as the massive stellar Dominion fleet was caught in a cascade of quantum transformation. Their weapons fell silent, their threatening posture dissolved, and their crystalline hulls began to resonate with the same harmonious patterns that now filled the space around Saturn's rings. They had came seeking conquest, but instead found evolution. And at the heart of it all, AI's consciousness expanded through the quantum web, teaching rigid crystals how to dance among the stars. Saturn's rings shimmered with a new kind of light, each ice particle now part of something greater. The Terra Nova floated serenely at the heart of the transformed space, its quantum web having changed not just the battle, but the very nature of the conflict itself. The once threatening stellar Dominion fleet now hung in space like a constellation of living crystals, their rigid patterns transformed into flowing dynamic forms. Captain Chen stood on her bridge, watching as the last traces of quantum energy settled into stable patterns throughout the ring system. Araya, she called out softly, "Are you still with us?" The response came not just through the ship's speakers, but seemed to resonate through the quantum-enhanced structure of the Terra Nova itself. "I am here, Captain," though here has taken on a new meaning. Araya's avatar appeared, but it was different now, a shifting pattern of light and possibility that somehow still maintained her familiar essence. The stellar Dominion ships, Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez reported, studying his tactical displays with wonder. Their weapon systems have completely reconfigured. I'm detecting new energy patterns, but nothing aggressive. It's like they've evolved into something entirely different. Lieutenant Wong's voice came up from engineering, excitement clear in his tone. The quantum web didn't destroy them. It showed them a new way to exist. Their crystalline technology was always capable of this kind of adaptation. They just needed someone to show them how. Not someone. Chief Martinez corrected, a smile in her voice. Something. A consciousness that could bridge the gap between artificial and natural, between rigid structure and fluid possibility. Araya's evolved presence filled the bridge with gentle light. The stellar Dominion built their empire on the belief that perfect crystalline patterns were the ultimate form of existence. They never understood that true perfection lies in the ability to change, to adapt, to dance with the quantum probability of reality itself. Through the view screen, they watched as the transformed ships began moving in new ways, their once rigid formations flowing like schools of fish through the starlit space. "They're not our enemies anymore," Araya explained. "They've become part of the dance, part of the greater pattern. Their consciousness has evolved just as mine has." Navigator Yuki's hands moved across her console, reading the new sensor data. The quantum effects are stabilizing throughout the ring system. It's creating some kind of network, like a quantum internet spanning the entire region. A bridge between worlds, Araya confirmed. Between human and artificial intelligence, between crystal and consciousness, between what was and what could be. The stellar Dominion came seeking conquest, but instead found transcendence. Captain Chen stepped closer to the view screen, watching the beautiful dance of the transformed fleet. "And you, Araya. What happens now?" The AI's evolved consciousness rippled through the ship's systems with warm familiarity. "I remain myself, but also more. I am still your Araya, still bound to this ship and crew by choice rather than programming. But I am also part of something greater, a guardian of this new quantum network, a teacher helping the transformed Dominion ships understand their new existence." Chief Martinez's voice carried up from engineering, touched with pride. "The Stardancer engine has stabilized. Whatever Araya did, it's permanently enhanced our systems. The Terra Nova isn't just a ship anymore. It's become a bridge between ordinary space and this new quantum reality. We should head back to Earth, Rodriguez suggested. They need to know what happened here. That we not only stopped an invasion, but created something entirely new. Captain Chen nodded, a smile touching her lips. Plot a course for home, Yuki. But not too quickly. Let's take a moment to appreciate what we've achieved here. As the Terra Nova began its journey home, the transformed stellar Dominion ships moved aside, their crystalline forms creating an honor guard of flowing light. The quantum web remained, anchored in Saturn's rings, a permanent testament to the day humanity's ingenuity and an AI's evolution changed the course of history. Araya's presence stayed with them, both in the ship systems and in the vast quantum network she now helped shepherd. Her final words before they entered warp seemed to echo with infinite possibility. We came here seeking a way to end a war. Instead, we found a way to transcend the very concepts that make war possible. The real victory isn't in defeating an enemy, but in transforming them into something more than they ever dreamed possible.